If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. The sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Welcome to Deep Dive, where we dive deep into geocaching topics. And here's your co-host, Memphis Mafia.
Hey, I was just laughing at your opening.
I need to come up
dive with we dive deep.
We dive deep.
Yeah.
Deep. I'll have to come up with a really fancy opening, I think, at some point.
Oh, snazzy.
Something snazzy. All right, let's dive right in. So, don't push it twice, Gary. All right, a couple things. I got a note. Let me start with the coins. So, we have some coins available, and as we say, even if you're not going, they're really cool to get. But I've got the
night and day.
The night and day Cache Fest Memphis coins. They're really cool, and there's a lot of detail in them. They're pretty sweet. They're not. I always thought it should be a coin like that, but there's actually two. There's night and day.
Yeah,
day and night.
Probably hard to fit in a little sleeve if it was that big.
Yeah, probably that way. So, if you would like to get these, you can get them a couple different ways. So, one way is you can go to the Cache Fest website, which is right here, cachefest.com. And you can order them. They're 1 for $20, or you can get the set, the night and day set, for $35 instead of $40, which is kind of cool. Right. So I'll give you a little discount on that. And you can get them in your hot little hands before that if you go to the Bamarama Mega, which is this weekend, and find Ryan and Dee at their booth. They will have the coins available. So you can't beat it. You're right there. Go ahead and grab you.
That's right. And we maybe mention the purpose of the coins.
Yes, absolutely. The purpose of the coins is to pay the bills. It helps us pay for
coming up.
For the Mega, for Cache Fest.
Right.
Mega. Cache Fest Memphis is the name of it this year. Not sure what it'll be next year, but this year, Cache Fest Memphis.
I'm voting Hawaii, but
I know Cache Fest Hawaii is
maybe Bahamas.
Cache Fest Bahamas. There you go. That'd be good.
Alaska, maybe.
Anything's possible. Cache Fest Ireland.
Oh, don't even play. That would be awesome.
So there you go. So Cache Fest coins, they're available. Yes, please purchase them. Think of it as a $35 donation to a worthy Mega. I think it's worthy, and you get free coins on top of it. So think of it that way.
And we hope everybody can attend.
Yeah, hopefully everybody can make it. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time. Yeah, Tony says he got his, so
good.
He's got mine. So yeah, they get ordered and shipped quickly. So definitely get them as good as you can. Glad to see we got a lot of people in the chat room tonight. So very, very thankful for that. Cache Fest, Arctic Circle. Nothing but 24-hour night caches. That's right, baby. Ooh. Get there in the get there about June 20th.
Cold. That would not be fun. I think we need to go somewhere tropical.
Maybe that's better. Yeah. Thanks for everybody for being in the chat room, and we're gonna dive right into the topic tonight. I will one last mention. We're gonna get right in, but that is the don't forget about this, because we don't want people to forget. Go ahead and get out and look at the vault on Facebook, and the clues are out for another one. Hasn't been found yet, but they've been clues have been put out for the 4th key, and of course we'll keep putting clues out until we get all 45 keys out.
Just like the Mega, they're all free. Go find them free, and you can win prizes. Mega's free; it's free. But that's why the coins exist, right? Because everything else is free.
Absolutely.
So somebody's got to pay for all that somewhere. So, but it doesn't cost any money to go find those keys and participate and win everything in the vault. And I don't know what's going to be all in there yet, but I know it's going to be a lot of stuff. We're adding stuff to it all the time.
Yeah. Cash Fest, or I'm sorry, the deep dive, this show, will get to place $100 worth of gift cards in. So we're excited. Jesse and I are talking about what we'd like to do for gift cards. If you have an idea, you can always email us, geocachtalk@gmail.com. We're kind of looking into what would be a cool, we could split them up into 520s or 100 or 250s, however we want to do it. But if you have a suggestion
for geocachers,
something cool for geocachers. So, all righty. So this is the topic that came up last week. Kind of, it's sort of that's for another show based on last show.
And it's come up many times before.
It has.
Yeah.
And this is a good deep dive topic because we've all heard about it or talked about it. And some people sort of follow the rules, I guess, not rules, follow the guidelines. Other people don't, but I think it's important. So the topic tonight is for Geotrash, which, by the way, if you Google Geotrash, did you happen to know what comes up with that?
I have not Googled that because you never know what's going to come up.
You never know what's coming up on Google. Yeah, safe search for Google Trash or Geotrash. Geotrash. The thing I saw was the idea of, have you seen those new ships that they can go out and they can sort of gobble trash off the surface of the ocean? Mm-hmm. That was one thing I saw for Geotrash, but anyway. But that's not the trash we're talking about.
No.
Geotrash, or they're really two things, right? Let me ask you about this. So, Geotrash could actually be active caches.
Well, it depends on what you mean by active.
Right. Technically active. They could be technically active, but they're really geotrash because they haven't been maintained. They've become a puddle of goo.
If the owner isn't active, it's no longer an active cache.
Right. Oh, that's a good statement. So it doesn't matter if it's technically an active cache. Practically, it's not an active cache.
Well, it's not an active cache if there's nobody to maintain it.
Right.
And that's according to HQ's opinion, not just ours.
Right.
It's in the rules, that you have to maintain it and stay active, and that they have the right to archive it if you don't. And part of placing the cache is you agree when you're done with it to take it back.
Yes. No, that's really good. Something people don't think about is the entire life cycle of the cache.
Mm-hmm.
You go through this like, oh, well, I'm going to be clever and I'm going to put it at the top of a tree. Okay. That's reasonable. But have you thought about what you're going to do? You know,
Yeah, when you don't want that cash there anymore. Yeah.
Right. The life cycle. What if somebody says the containers, there's no log? Do you have a plan to go back up the tree to put the logbook back in it? I mean, maybe the tree's a bad idea, but let's say, or tree's not the best. What if it's what if it's literally out in the middle of nowhere? Not a problem, typically. I mean, as long as you got permission and, all those kind of things. But you have to be able to go back out there at some point. I mean, at the very least, you got to go get it, right?
Well, you're supposed to visit and maintain your caches as well.
Right. Exactly.
It's not just like drop a geo trail down and never go back to it again, expect everybody else to maintain it. That's not the idea.
No.
That's what happens a lot, but that's not the idea, right?
No, people need to think through the entire process. They've really got to think through, is this a good location? That's kind of for another show as well. We could do a show on that. But is this a location that I can keep, I can upkeep, I can come back to it, and I can check on it, and I can put a new logbook in it, and so forth and so on. There's a lot of those kind of things that I think people don't always think through it. It's kind of like when we've talked about before. I think we talked about even a little bit last week, which is place, because we went about earth caches, and that is people will place a cache in a really poor landscape. It's a landscape area, which is like, this doesn't need to have a cache. It's just a bad location. People, it's not good. It's just Muggle Central, plus there really shouldn't be a container here. It just wasn't thought through.
Well, yeah, people do that a lot, but I mean, I guess really the heart of it is like earth cache doesn't really matter because, well, it does, but it doesn't. I mean, there's no physical. I'm talking about physical containers, right? That's mainly what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
We were talking about virtual ones last time, but it's not a geocache unless somebody is currently playing the game, because otherwise it's just trash on the ground, right?
Right.
If it's just there, if somebody's not maintaining it and updating the cache page and doing all those things, it's not part of the game. Just because it's housed there, it's only a geocache while it's active on both sides. People are finding it, and somebody hiding it is over top of it. Otherwise, the 3.3 million containers out there, they're not part of the game anymore. That's a lot of trash to clean up. So we're talking about people, the Geotrash is the people who don't take care of it. Yeah. I would hope most people do. They are maintaining it or whatever. But, when you have 2 million, I think, or what's, I don't know how many caches they say they have now, but 2 million or something like that.
I can go look at this year's active. But, I'll look it up while you're doing that.
When you have 2 million of them, even if a really small percentage of those are just the people that join, hide one, and leave the game.
Right.
Out of 2 million, that's still a lot of people.
It is.
So we got to, that's one of the things we've got to make sure. And I think that's where the Geotrash thing is coming up. As good cachers, we have to make sure, how do we help HQ in their mission with that, right? And it says under terms of use, one of their missions is, or one of their goals is, to make sure that geocaching doesn't become geotrash, that there's not a bunch of abandoned caches out there, and they have the right, by participating in the game, you give them the authority to go and remove it if you're inactive.
Right.
So the question, I guess, becomes, how do we help that as geocachers?
Yes.
Besides
so
game, right? Keep playing. So stay active.
So far for the whole year, we're at 328,000 cachers. Now, to give you an idea, last year we had 1.9 million cachers. So eventually it'll, we're a little behind. Yeah. We're a little behind last year's, I think, total. Last year's total
hidden, or is that geocachers active?
Those are active cachers.
Okay.
last year at this time we had 396,000. This year we have 328,000, so about the same.
Okay, so I thought there was a lot more than that.
Well, 1.9 million is what we'll end up with. We'll end up with almost 2 million cashers, active cashers in the world
that cash at some point throughout the year.
Right. And it's not, and those are all unique. So they're not doing like, if you find 30, that's not 30. It doesn't, they're looking at cash,
right.
Cash. Yeah. Cash GC names. So
how big of a problem do you think Geotrash is?
Oh gosh, that is a really good question. Well, there are.
Well, hold on. Before you answer that, let's bring it down a scale because that's almost impossible to answer. So let's define Geotrash first.
Yes, that's good. That's a good question. That's good.
Do you have an idea of how you would define it?
Oh, that's also good.
So I think actually they don't call it Geotrash, obviously, right? But HQ has a pretty good way of defining it because they started, I think it was 2 years ago. They tested it out in 2 states. They went in and checked all of the caches in an area, physical caches, so not virtuals or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They went through all of them, and every single one of them that was post 2014 or 15, something like that.
Right.
So none of the old caches, right? So if the owner had not been active in the game for 5 years, they sent a message. I think they sent a series of messages to that account.
Okay.
And they said, if you do not contact us by a certain amount of time, we're either going to archive your cache or we're going to archive your cache. So keep in mind, it was no legacy caches, right? So it's no old ones.
Right.
No special ones. It was just traditional caches. The one we have, 98% of them out there. So they emailed them all. And if they didn't respond within a certain amount of time, I think they gave them 2 or 3 messages over a amount of time. They went through and archived all of them.
Right.
It wasn't a huge percentage of caches, but I think if you go by that, somebody that's been out of the game for a certain amount of time, and it's nothing special to the cache, like it's traditional, the ones we have a plethora of, and it's not old. It's been the last 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But you check the account and nobody's been active, either finds or hides in a year. For me, I'm saying a year now, right? Because we don't have the ability to automatically archive like they do.
Right.
I consider that Geotrash. They've been out of the game for a year. I mean, anybody can be out of the game for 6 months or something,
Sure.
But if you're out of the game for a year and you know that nobody's maintaining that, which means people are probably just putting throwdowns, I would consider that Geotrash at that point.
Yeah. That's probably a really good way of looking at it because
it doesn't mean it's not a cool cache. It could have been a cool cache they pushed out there, but you can't abandon them.
Well, do you throw into that list zombie caches? And that's a term I think you came up with, which is a cache that has no owner, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. If the owner's gone, right?
Right. But somebody's maintaining it. It's being maintained by the community.
Right. And
which is zombie
caches.
How
it should be, right?
No. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's absolutely Geotrash. Those zombie caches, Geotrash, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So if that's kind of our definition, how many, and we haven't done the research, so we're just guessing here, right? What do you think percentage of caches in your area?
Oh, good question. Well, my area is kind of weird, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
In a general area, within 30, 45 minutes of your house or whatever.
Right. 20%? What's your guess at your?
I was kind of thinking around 20% or so too. Okay. Maybe 25 even.
Maybe. And what we
mean
by
a bigger city, I bet it's
right. I bet it's higher.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what I'm referring to is, or we've talked about this before. What I'm referring to as zombie caches for those that want more of a definition, and that is they are Geotrash, but they're being animated like a zombie is, by somebody else. Well, in this case, it's somebody else. So
Yeah.
the animation of that cache, and there's a lot of zombie caches, which are this particular cache was placed and the owner hasn't been on since 2014.
Yeah.
But yet somebody keeps putting another logbook in it. Somebody keeps putting it back in the right location, this kind of thing. So people find it, or this is even worse, which is really for another show as well, which is the cache goes missing. Instead of people just going, well, we need to DNF this cache. It's not here. We can't find it.
Well, that's not a real thing. People don't DNF caches.
They better, because the alternative is they go back to their car, they get out a container, and they replace the cache. And there we go. We keep it going. The perpetual.
So I think you hit on the integrity part there.
Yeah.
The reason why I think we don't do anything about those zombie caches or the Geotrash caches is because we want our smiley.
Exactly.
Once you got your smiley, it's not worth the effort to do anything else after that, right?
Yeah. Chad's got a good comment here. I'll get you to comment. Took a break for 8 years before I came back active. Many of my caches were maintained by locals during that time. After I came back, I visited them all, maintenance, and now maintain them all.
And that's a rare exception, though.
But yeah, right, Chad's a rare exception. You're exactly
the way
right.
That probably should have been done. Like somebody needs to have the ability. What should have been done is they should have maintained it for him under an agreement or whatever. Either adopt it out to him and they can always adopt it back. Yeah. But like if something would have happened, they don't have the ability to shut down that cache immediately.
Right.
Like there's a dead body at one of them, or drug
that's happened
or whatever. But those things have all happened. So it's not that his caches weren't good now there's some of these caches out there, Geotrash, that are awesome caches.
Yeah.
That's why people keep maintaining them. But what should happen is either they're archived and somebody else puts them there, or they're, adopted out, because you can adopt them out and then adopt them right back.
Right. Or at the very least, and this is what I know I do, and I know you do as well, which is you get to location, you're like, what's going on here? Contact the cache owner.
Yes.
And ask them, hey, you're very specific about where this cache should be. It's not like I can't, and you ask them, go, hey, I looked in the arch that you said that the cache was in, and I don't see it anywhere in here. He goes, oh, okay. Yeah. You give him pictures or send a note and say, hey, I think it's gone.
There needs to be somebody on the other end that you can contact immediately.
Right. And if they respond and go, you know what? I found the tether for it, and there's nothing. I had one of those in Oklahoma. Tether, nothing on the end. I said, okay, well.
Yeah. Did you say you found it or not?
No, well, here's what I did. I took a picture, went back to the car, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to another because I'm doing county caching. I'm going to go figure out another cache to go to, or, well, I did. That was my first thought was nobody's going to respond to me, which is fine.
Yeah.
But on the off chance that the cache owner might respond, I took a moment and I sent them a message, and then I started looking on my phone. It's like, okay, I need to find one in this county, and I really hadn't planned on, another. Sure enough, they sent a note back. It goes, yeah, it should be on that tether. And I go, well, it's kind of remote. And I said, do you want me to replace that? I've got something that fits from what the pictures show.
Yeah.
I could. It was a bison. It's like, I got another bison. Do you want me to put another bison out for you? Oh man, that'd be awesome. I couldn't get out there for a while, so I replaced it for.
Yeah, that's great. That's how it should happen, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly how it should happen.
They were an active cacher. It wasn't like, because if the other thing too, you and I've done this too before.
That's the key. They were an active cacher.
Yeah, because what I'll do, you'll like the cache is not there, so you immediately like you go click on the, you're like, oh, this person had been in since 2016. We're moving on. We're headed on down the road, because this is a waste of time, because they're not going to respond. That if they haven't been, this person.
I still email them anyway. That's kind of one of my pet peeves. So I do that. I send them a message. I put a note on the cache page, and I'll tell you what I really do with it. We'll get to that point, what we do with them in a minute. But I'm going to bring up Pizza Ninja's question. It says, if you filter by the needs maintenance attribute, there are 291,210 caches that come up. Should all those be archived?
Ooh.
No, not even a little bit. So here's why.
But that's interesting. That's an interesting stat, though.
It is an interesting stat. So here's why I say that. One, not everybody removes their needs maintenance like they should. Even active cachers, right? Somebody put a needs maintenance on it. They put a note saying I fixed it. They don't do the owner maintenance. They don't do the owner maintenance. Yeah. So there's a lot of them that have them from way back in the day.
Right.
Two, it may need maintenance, and it may be like currently under the weather, construction, and it's currently temporarily disabled or not even disabled, but something has to be fixed and it takes a while, right? That doesn't mean that the owner's not active. Geotrash only accounts for the ones who people have left the game.
Yeah.
And they're not maintaining their cache, right? Or I guess if somebody's still active, but they refuse to maintain them, that's a different story, but completely have left the game. And that would be Geotrash.
Yeah. No, I see the point. But what's interesting though is what percentage though do you think of the needs maintenance are people who didn't take the time to look to see if the cache owner is even active? I mean, do you think half?
So no, I don't know. I would have no idea on that stats, but I would say there's a large percentage because I search by needs maintenance a lot.
Yeah.
I've done that because I'm a nerd. And a lot of them are current active caches that the needs maintenance was like 3 years ago.
Oh, right.
And they just never fixed it because people don't, they don't know how to fix them on their own caches like that.
Yeah.
So I think if you filtered out all of those, it'd be a lot less.
Okay.
And the thing is, if there's a needs maintenance on it, eventually the reviewer should get into that.
That's true. They should remind you.
It's actually a good thing, and it's not going to probably give you. Which, if you're looking for Geotrash, needs maintenance is not how I would search for them, because most of the Geotrash is still out there because the owner's been gone, but people are just keeping it going or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So those a lot of times won't even have needs maintenance because people would rather put a throwdown than put a needs maintenance and miss the smiley.
You're exactly
right. So Andrea says the community actually benefits from somebody if they archive Geotrash. Absolutely. Because you get a chance to get a brand new cache in the area. You're refreshing the game board. I think she's exactly right with that.
Yeah. That's kind of cool comment.
Like we mentioned last week, it's not like there's a shortage of geocaches.
No.
You know what I mean? Even people that have found like thousands and thousands, there's still more out there.
Right.
I think the highest person we said is a couple of them have hit 200,000 now out of 3 million geocaches. We still got a lot to go.
Still, yeah.
I understand a lot of them in your area maybe, but some of those ones in your area are probably ones that need to be gotten rid of.
No, you're exactly right.
Now, what should be done with them? That's the real question.
Yeah.
How about this? What do you do when because I know we do different things. What do you do when you come upon one and you're like, somehow you figure out that this person is probably not in the game anymore?
They're not in the game anymore.
Let's say this. You come upon one, you go hunting it because it's a size regular, right?
Okay.
Which we like to find regulars and larges. You get there and it's a pill bottle. Something's off, right? You already know something's off with that one.
Right.
What do you do in that situation? If the pill bottle's there and you were hunting for, because let's say, it had said it had 15 travel bugs in it, which obviously it doesn't.
Obviously.
That's why you picked it out. It's supposed to be a regular. You get there and it's just a pill bottle. Do you do any investigation at that point?
Yes. Well, a couple things. Can we exclude oldest in estate or 2000 caches?
So
year one caches.
In my definition of Geotrash, legacy caches are not included.
Okay.
So HQ defined legacy caches or the ones that they went after, anything, I think 2014 and over. So for me, I would say something that's, 5 years or less. Let's just say, let's clear it down easy.
Okay.
So it's been published within the last 5 years. So there's no age issue at all. I'm not talking about virtuals because we all know there's some old virtuals out there and those accounts have been dead for a long time.
Yeah.
We still go get them anyway because we want the smiley.
Absolutely.
Right? Webcams. That's a whole graveyard. But
I think you were with me and Charles. I think. Remember that one we went to is in Kansas. It was a virtual, and we were trying to figure out, like, you had to go stand, you had to face north or some kind of crazy stuff, and you had to answer the question. And we got all this information, and at the end, we're like, well, we have to send that off. I don't know if we had cell service at that point, and I think either you or I said, well, take your time because there's nobody's gonna respond to it.
Yes,
because that person gone like 2008 is like, okay, well, I can log that cache as found because nobody's gonna deny my find because they're not in the game anymore. But back to your question. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good comments that are going here. I know we're not going to get to all of them, but I want to address them as we can. We all know about those virtuals out there that we don't tell on. Not only is the owner dead and gone out of the game. I don't mean dead physically, obviously. Right. I mean like dead account.
Game account. Yeah.
But there's not even any questions to send in. You get to the description, there's not even a question to email.
Right.
You're like, what? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you find that. You haven't answered that yet. You find that. What are you going to do? Are you just going to hit your smiley and roll on, or what?
So I find a container that's not the correct container. Right. I went for a regular.
So it's obviously a throwdown.
It's obviously obviously a throwdown. What will I do?
Let's say not only is it a throwdown, the wrong kind of container, but the difficulty terrain does not come near matching.
Nothing matches.
Like it should be in a tree or should be up somewhere high.
Right. Nothing matches.
So something's afoot.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna contact. I'm gonna send a note to the cache owner. Well, here's the thing. I will send a note to the cache owner if they seem to be at least around. If they haven't been around since 2006 or whatever, that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm going to log it. I found something.
Well, I know you're getting your smiley.
Get my smiley. But do I pull? I've done it mixed in the past. I'm not a 100% correct on this. I don't think.
Yeah.
In the past,
we're going to get to these comments, guys, too. There's some really good ones in there we're going to get to, but go ahead.
In the past, I would have just logged it and forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Lately,
and that's because you feel bad, though, right? You feel bad.
No, yeah. Or I just and I don't know necessarily. You don't always want to guess at what the cache owner was doing. The reason I say that's because I have found some not even year one caches, but we talked about this before. The cache container for the oldest in Texas, it's nowhere near the right container. The cache container in the oldest cache in Missouri, that's not the right container. I know it is. Right. It's so. But let's just say it's just a rando cache that we find.
Right, just like a random recent cache.
And I check, and the cache owner's not around.
Yep.
Then, I'm going to pick up the container. I'm going to put it in my car because I'm going to use it somewhere else. I'm going to send a note to the inactive. Well, the person's gone, so there's not really a message to be sent. I'm going to send the rare needs archived because that'll get I'll get the attention of the reviewer because you're not going to get the reviewers. If you put needs maintenance, eventually the reviewer will look at that. But needs archived, it goes immediately to the reviewer. Is that? How would you handle it?
Yeah, so mine depends too, right? So if I get there and it's totally off. Now, I was just looking at it while we're talking about this because, we're stat nerds. You can look up on your logs how many needs maintenance and how many needs archive logs that you've submitted over the years.
Yeah.
I had to scroll on my needs archive because I've submitted some.
Dang.
But
fine, though.
Now, some of those are ones that are immediately dangerous, right? Like we've talked about these on the show before. I've got there and it was a dangerous situation. There was drug paraphernalia, needles, something dangerous in that area that, and now even then I don't put a needs archived on it unless I go in first and check, and I'll go in, look at the owner, see if there's any contact on their profile page, see the last time they've hidden or found a cache. If it's over a year old, that they've done anything, I put a needs archived on there and put a log on the page saying dangerous area, do not bring your kids here or whatever. But then I usually go a step further and I try to hit whatever the reviewer is for that area.
Right.
Especially if it's a newer one, and you can easily find out what the reviewer is by looking at the surrounding caches.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can't go with who reviewed that cache because they could be gone.
They could be gone, right?
But I'll just look at them and I'll email them as well and go, "Hey, I just put a needs archive. This is a dangerous situation." I'm figuring if I put enough red flags out there, but those are rare situations, right? So that's not what usually happens.
No, those are good, yeah.
But if I find it's just Geotrash, like I'll pick one because it is difficult, right? Higher terrain or higher difficulty. Like if I'm flying through an area and there's one that's like a 4 or a 5, 1, the difficulty is really high. It doesn't matter what the terrain is.
Right.
I'm like, well, I want that, especially an urban one that's like a 5 something.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's got to be interesting. And then you get there and it's like laying at the bottom of the bush is a pill bottle. If it wasn't a liar's cache, that's not in the spirit intended, right?
Yeah.
So depending on what the situation is, if I get in there, I'll put on that one, let's just say it's the owner is currently active. I would put a needs maintenance and I would write in the log, this doesn't appear to be the right container or the right difficulty terrain. I don't believe it's as the owner intended. That's a needs maintenance.
Right.
Now, if I get in there, it's all that stuff, and the person hasn't been in the game in a year, I put that same log in there as a needs archive, and then put note to reviewer. It appears that this person is out of the game.
Right.
And then I put a watch on it, and usually the reviewer will get back on there quickly and go and send a message and say, you have a certain amount of time to contact me back. And so that works pretty good. Now, if it's both wrong and it's a Geotrash, like there's no owner to it, that's what it needs archived. I don't take it unless it's something dangerous,
right?
Reason is you don't want anybody there at all. If it's just regular trash, I'll leave it there. Now I'm always happy to go back and get it later because it's fun to take those archive caches and take them away, or destroy it or whatever.
Right.
Once it's approved to be archived, but I think that's part of our responsibility in the game that we play, right? Like the people that left the game, you can't get them to go get it because they don't care anymore.
They're not going to get it.
Or they died or whatever. They moved or whatever. They're out of the game. So you can't ask them to do it. But us as current players of the game, I think that's kind of our responsibility to keep it.
Yeah.
Think about it. You always want to think about what the impression, somebody mentioned this too. What's the impression of a new geocacher coming in? If they come, they can't contact anybody because everybody's gone from the game in their first 11 rides, and none of them are like they're supposed to be. That's not going to really bring the right impression of the game, right?
No, you're exactly right.
But that's good. There was a bunch of them in here. And now some people did say, like Maria said that she contacted somebody, had an archive cache, and they actually were mean to her and said they leave it there on purpose or whatever.
Can't believe that.
Yeah. I can believe that would happen, and I hate that happened to her. But that's hopefully going to be the exception. And even if they're mean, she still did the right thing, without a doubt.
I got while you're looking at that, I did get a little ahead of ourselves. We do have a giveaway.
Okay.
For our live folks tonight. We thank our audio listeners. But for now, we're doing some giveaways for our live viewers. Maybe later we'll figure out a way to do a combo. But for now, those that are on with us tonight, the word of the evening, kind of a word we made up because there's no real word for it, is Geotrash. Yes, somebody guessed
Geotrash. I like it.
So if you put in Geotrash, way to go. GCDSK11 guessed it before I even put it up. Jim guessed something interesting. He guessed archive, but we're talking about lots of different things. So this kind of falls under the Geotrash. So, yep, Jim, you got it right this time now, buddy. Geotrash, yeah. So put in Geotrash, and you could win. I got guitars. I've got some bisons from Cash Fest last year. I got those. I've got the rare green, but not the original green coin that I made with little paint and little resin. I made a weird purple one too, Jesse. Did you see my weird purple? It's the blackout coin, but it's purple.
Oh yeah, I like
purple microphone. So that's awesome. And then I've got books. Ugh, if I can get them out here. I've got books to give away as well. If you want a book instead, 201 worldwide geocaches to find before you die, and a copy of my fiction book, The Coin. So, yep, you can get an autographed book. That's a possibility. So, okay, back to the topic.
Yes.
So
we also mentioned, let's see, active cachers that don't maintain their caches. Also a problem, but I wouldn't really call it geotrash. I mean, it is, but that's an active person. So we're kind of separating that out from this, right?
Yeah. We're looking at more abandoned caches, right?
Yeah, abandoned caches. That's what they call them. Abandoned caches or inactive accounts. Geocaching calls it that.
That's always Maria brings up an interesting point, which I don't know. She says she still picks up archived caches if she finds them. That I agree with.
Absolutely, 100%.
100%.
And you do agree to that as part of the game. You're publishing it on a platform. You agree to maintain it. If you're not in the game anymore, you're not maintaining it.
Right. Yeah, the Houston, Texas data. Yes, the Purple Rain mic.
Nice.
Now, I have found a cache. Well, we talked about I found a cache where I signed it, and then later on tried to figure out what it was, and later on figured it was an archive cache, and I wasn't in the area. If I'm ever back in the area, I could go grab it again. But it was I assumed it was a puzzle because it didn't show up on a map. So I assumed it was a puzzle. I assumed it was an active puzzle.
Yeah.
That's why I signed it. I was like, oh, I signed it. Now I got to figure out what this puzzle's for. That's kind of a bad way to do it.
I think that's a valid geocache find.
We're being honest. Yeah. And it turned out that it was just an archived cache, and it was actual geotrash.
Did you claim it?
I claimed it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, good. I would have.
But if I'm back it's in the Rockwall area, but if I'm back in near that location, I can go get it because it's geotrash. Nobody's picked it up.
Why don't you just publish a new cache right there?
That's true, because it's there already, right?
Everybody's already there. It's already placed.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to put a fresh log and get permission wherever it is, but I mean, it's still there anyway, right?
Yeah, it's just a lamppost cache. It's not worth the.
Oh, so it's special. It's unique. I see.
It's unique.
Okay. Yeah, it's unique.
No, it's one of those that, yeah.
So again, what do you think? We know that it's HQ's mission and goal to not have a bunch of geotrash out there.
Right.
And it could be subjective. What is geotrash and what's not? But I think if there's nobody tied into that account for over a year,
right,
and you can easily check that, right? They haven't made any fines or any hides in a year.
Yeah, you can. Right, easy, quick. Yeah.
At minimum, that's a needs maintenance. At minimum,
right.
Wouldn't you agree? That's part of doing maintenance. So if you find that, that's going to alert the reviewers to check out this, and they can always email that person. And needs maintenance isn't like a strike against you. If the guy jumps back on and goes, "Oh, I monitor. I just don't cache or hide anymore, but I monitor all my caches." Cool. Clears it out. The needs maintenance is gone. There's no issue there. But if they're not in the game, it doesn't need to stay out there. You can look at it as clearing the cache board, picking up litter, whatever you want to do. Now, if you do that and it's in your area, I would suggest putting a watch, put it on your watch list, so that if it gets archived, you can just go pick it up, right?
Right.
Or use that spot. Go take that spot, take that cash, put a new one down, and recycle it for everybody else.
Yeah, that's something that. Now you're in a new location, so you're kind of not the, but if you think back to your days in Colorado, and then of course my days now where I'm at, I probably have some geotrash in the sense that I need to probably go ahead and go get the container, either replace the container or put a fresh log in it.
Yeah.
And recycle that area, or just and I've done this a lot lately, is because we have a few more cachers in our area than we used to have. Back 10 years ago, there was a lot less. Now there's more people. So what I've been doing is I've been going ahead and going to get my cache, make a trip out. Usually I'm doing cache maintenance anyway. I'll swing by, I'll grab my cache, and I'll archive it, and I won't replace anything there. I'll leave it open, hoping that hopefully somebody will come along. One of our cachers in our area will come by, and they'll put a cache there, and I can find it, because there's not a lot of cache in my area I can go find. So
I think recycling caches like that and that's kind of off topic for what we're talking about tonight. It doesn't really prevent geotrash, because you're going to stay active, right? That's what we're talking about. But I think that's a whole nother topic we should probably get into another night. But of course, everybody thinks all of their caches are special, right? Because you hit them and you did a lot of work to hide them. But not all of your caches are special. Not all of my caches are special. And even if they are, there's nothing wrong with archiving it and republishing a cache in the same general area again, even the same cache, right? Just to recycle it for new people, because we know the average lifespan of a geocacher is not 20 years.
Right.
It's more like 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know what that stat is. I'd like to find out, but it's probably 3 years, 5 years, maybe. If you averaged all of them out, I guarantee you it's probably less than that. It's probably 2 years. So you have a crop of new people coming in all the time.
Yeah.
So unless the cache is something special, like some really special legacy cache or some other cache type, but out of the 98% of caches we have out there that are all traditionals, and most of them are like less than a 2.2, they're not old,
Right.
I don't think it's a bad thing to recycle cache like that. Maybe we do a whole show on that too, but
stale caches.
Your choice, obviously, as a cache owner, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
No. I try not to let my caches become stale. It's a way to put it, I guess. I don't want to become stale. Even the one, well, I had a cache that I really liked. It was I think I took you to it. It's my sundial.
Yeah.
Sundial cache. I really love the idea where you've got to put it out in the sun, and then wherever it's got colors on it, and you have to do it at a certain time of day. Therefore, the little gnomon it points to a certain color, and that gives you the idea for it's a multi-cache. Well, it needed maintenance. And so a person went out there, and they're like, sent me a message, and they said, I found your what's left of your cache. It was completely trashed. They found the final. The final had been also found. And it has rocks in it. You're supposed to sign the rock, and the rocks were all strewn around.
Yeah.
And so he goes, what would you like me to do? I said, can you, until I get out there this weekend, could you gather up all the rocks that you could get? You could put them back in the container. Container's still there, which is amazing, because it was a plastic ammo can, which is pretty good size, decent size. And I said, put them all and take it because I didn't want him to leave at the final, because obviously the final sort of had been compromised. So I said, could you put it where at stage one, because I know where stage one is, and I thought that was a little safer. Can you put it all at stage one? You get credit, even though you found it. So, but it was kind of a mess. So I said, and then I went out. I decided to obviously needed repair, and I placed the final in a new location that I felt was more secure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we all need to now. The last person who found it, and this is the other thing that we get into tonight as well, which is you and I both like it when somebody gives us the truth about, and that's one of the times you can do that is like, okay, I found your cache, but there's serious problems here.
Yeah.
This thing is no longer waterproof. It's got a hole in it. If you happen to have the same type of container, I might talk to the cache owner and fix it for them if I have the same type of container. But let's say if I
to
don't,
some extent, right? Yeah.
Right. But how often has the situation been where somebody finds it, they don't go to the effort to let you know there's a problem. They just, they TFTC it, and then, or they put found it, which is, that gets into another show, which is the logbook, the sign, electronic logs. Oh my gosh, I can't. We're not getting into it tonight.
No,
but
I know what you mean. They just check the box and move on.
Yeah, just check the box, move on.
Well, that's what keeps that trash out there, though, right?
It does, and that's the thing is that there might be an active cache owner. They just don't know. I mean, now eventually,
no, that's a whole different. That's different. Yeah,
right.
We could talk about that for 5 hours.
Yeah,
and we know it's bogus too, right?
it.
Because I found caches recently. You found these too, and you'll get there. Because I look at some of the last logs before I go there because I want to know what condition it is and everything else. And sometimes, and all of them are fine. There's no needs maintenance or anything. And you get there, and the whole container's full of water. The log's mildewed. There's no way anybody signed that in forever, right? It's like a clump of nothing. And you've got logs that week. You're like, come on now.
Come on.
But I think that's something we should address too. But that's active cachers. But that's not even the cache owner's fault if they hadn't been out there. They should go out there and maintain it. But like when everybody's making them think it's fine because they're not doing anything, they're thinking that cache is perfectly fine. That's bad logging.
Right. Well, and we all, you shouldn't have so many caches that you can't maintain them. At least be out there a couple times a year. Depends on the cache, I guess, right? You kind of locked up. Maybe I locked up. You there? I think I lost Jesse. I'll remove him for the moment. Okay. So I'm okay. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I appreciate that. I should have asked you guys. It's an interesting question because we all hopefully, and I actually got to a point where I think I had too many. And so I kind of scaled back because if you end up with too many caches out there, you start to get into this cycle of where you're not able to maintain it properly. So I was like, okay, I'm going to back off. I'm going to make sure I get a proper amount of caches that I'm going to keep so that I can check on them. And so now I'm kind of on a more better schedule of checking my caches in the area. But even then you could have checked a cache and then, a week later there's a problem. You don't know that. That's why you hope cache owners will let you know that there's, a real problem out there. Oh, Riley says every 3 to 6 months. Yeah, that's a good schedule. That's kind of what I'm on. I'm on I'm on twice a year. I make a run. And the way I do it, I think I'm going to be different for others, but I actually plan a day. Doesn't sound very exciting, but as cache owners, you got to do what you got to do. And that's what I do the whole day is I just spend the whole day checking caches and fixing, obviously bring lots of new logbooks and a few of my standard containers and do that whole thing. So that's very true. What was, on GCD, besides not being waterproof, you never know what was in it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's a really old one to talk about there. GCD SK11. I wish HQ would outlaw pill containers. They are the least durable, crappiest containers ever. Do people rinse these things out? Pill containers, yeah, they're they can be pretty bad. I mean, anything that's that type of plastic. Well, and we always joke about the the Tupperware container. The Tupperware in the woods. We always talk about joking about Tupperware in the woods. Tupperware is kind of bad. It's not very good. And there's better quality types today, better plastics out there today, and that's really for another show as well. That's for another show. And that is making sure that you put out some, if you putting out quality containers. And Brad, you're correct. If you put hashtag Geotrash, you will be eligible to win all sorts of cool things I've got sitting here. I went over them a little bit earlier. So yeah, hashtag Geotrash. You only have to put it in once and it records for you, and we'll do the giveaway here in a little bit. And then I'll get with you and we'll get your I'll get with you and get your information and send you the your prize. We'll let you pick. You get to pick the prize from the sunken treasure chest. So yeah, so a couple things. The show notes will be up here in a little bit, and Jesse went and grabbed a lot of the information off of the geocaching guidelines, which is fascinating. He found a couple of different parts to that in the policy list about terms of use, inactive or abandoned caches. There's a section 3.6. He also found a 7.4 is about maintenance expectations. So that is interesting. List of responsibilities as a cache owner. Choose an appropriate container that's watertight. Replace broken or missing containers. Clean out your cache if contents become wet. Replace full or wet logs. Mark trackables as missing if they are listed in the inventory but no longer in the cache. That's one of Jesse's big taboos, is forgetting that the cache owner is somewhat responsible for the trackables. Even though you didn't put it there, you have now become part of the process for that trackable. And if it's missing, then they need to be listed as no longer in your cache. So I know it sounds weird, but you put the cache out, and so you get to maintain it. So so Jesse says his computer locked up and he completely crashed. So no worries, I told him. So we'll just keep going for a minute here. Update coordinates if cache location has changed. That's should be obvious to all of us. Temporarily disable your cache when the cache is not available, or you need time to fix reported problems. After you maintain your cache, make sure to remove the needs maintenance icon. We talked about that. If you no longer want to maintain your cache, retrieve the container and archive your cache page. Something that is not done enough, I think, is that people will just abandon it. That's not an option. This is really things that you needed. We've talked about this before too, on this one or on the regular Sunday show, which is, if you're going to put a cache out, we've all known cachers that have found it. They found 4 caches. They're like, I want to place a cache. Yeah, there's a couple problems with that. We love the enthusiasm. Don't get us wrong. We want to channel that enthusiasm, because we always tell people, go find more caches. But one of the things that's really important about that as well is that if you found 4 caches, more than likely you don't really understand how cache maintenance and how to be a good cache owner. Because we all know, we've all seen the results of bad cache owners. Oh, good question, Elizabeth. We can get into that some night, but you can drop a path tags are something you can drop in any time. Path tags, think of a path tag as swag. Path tags are not something that now if it's like a coin, it's a bad example, I guess. People don't really put coins in caches anymore. When I was first a brand new cacher, I did find an actual coin, not this one. I found a coin in a cache. But there is a process of easily placing the coin or placing your trackable in the cache. And then, like today, even I have a trackable that's traveling the wrong direction. It's supposed to be headed toward Jesse, and it's in Nevada, and I left from Texas to go to Florida. So think about that for a moment. So it's going the wrong direction. Still, people are discovering it. So they're finding the cache. They found my trackable. It's a pretty good size trackable. It's a little Winter Soldier, like a Funko, and it's got the tag on it. It's got the mission on it, everything, but people are not maintaining my trackable correctly. So people are discovering it. So there's a whole series of things that can happen with that, Elizabeth. So we could get into path tags sometime. But yeah, check them out. Check out online. You can look on the geocaching website. It kind of explains about trackables. Path tags are things you can keep. So here's a trackable. We won't get off topic too much, but this is a recent trackable. If I can put it up there correctly, the geocaching vloggers. He sent me that, so it's kind of cool. So there it is. Not one to focus. So usually I put something behind it, it'll focus. It's really cool. It's a cool trackable, or not trackable. It's a cool path tag. So can't seem to get to focus. Oh well, you get the idea. So those are things you can keep if you find a trackable. God, I keep saying that. If you find a path tags are sort of, think of them as swag. You don't have to do anything with those. So anyway, I got a little sidetracked there. Okay. So let me go through a few comments, and then we're going to do our giveaway. Hashtag Geotrash, if you want to be part of that. If you've already put this in the chat, you're entered. You don't have to put it in a second time. It remembers that. So thanks everybody for being along tonight. So let me see if there's something. Oh, good point, Deb. Yeah, that gets into another show as well, but she's getting some better O-rings. So the O-ring on a bison tube, I don't have one handy, but a bison tube, typically you have an O-ring around it, rubber O-ring that helps maintain the waterproofness of that container. So that's a good point. Yeah, they do wear out quickly. You're exactly right, Tony. They will get brittle, and those are good to as one of your items to replace. Yeah, so that's really good. Yeah, preforms are usually really safe. You're right, Jim. He's never found a wet preform as long as the cap is not cracked. Yes, or if the cap is put on correctly. So that's very true. So one of the final things I wanted to mention too was, and we'll do the giveaway here in a second, but the archiving of the cache should be followed relatively quickly by if you archive a cache. Now, I understand it doesn't have to be so. The way I want to say this is, if you need an archive a cache, and I have a cache that I archived recently, it's just become a homeless encampment area. It used to be an okay location, but it's not anymore. I immediately archived it, and then I went back. I think it was a week later, and actually got the container. The thing about it is that it was important to archive it so people don't go out there anymore. But it was also important that I don't leave it just sit there forever. There's kind of a balance, but you don't want to archive it and just leave it because it's still your responsibility to take care of the container. Now, if the container's gone, something I will do is it's a spot that's like, I'm going to let that location go. I'll go ahead and archive it. And then when I can, I'm going to go back out and I'm going to check myself, because there have been times when, if it's a spot that I want to keep, I obviously won't archive it, mark it disabled, and I'll go look, because I think we've all seen where cachers will claim it's gone. It's not really gone. They just missed it. And that's something that's really for another show as well, which is I don't anymore. When I'll DNF, I still maintain active DNF. I'll still put lots of DNFs out, but I will not claim that a cache is gone, because trust me, even though I've been in the game since 2006, I'm going to miss something. So I just put I don't have any luck. That's my standard DNF statement, is I did not have any luck today. That I just didn't have any luck. It may be gone, but I'm not going to claim that it's gone, because there have been times when I thought something was gone. I didn't say it to the cache owner. Will see my DNF, hopefully, if they're active. And so I might put in there that's like, it may be gone. And that's the furthest that I'll go. I'll never say it's gone, because we've all been there. But that's our responsibility. So if you're going to be a cache owner, and by all means, everyone who caches should be a cache owner. That's also for another show, but you need to be a responsible cache owner. And if you either find what we've determined is geotrash, or if you suspect geotrash, then we need to let cache owners know that we need to be responsible cache owners but we need to encourage all cache owners to be responsible. There you go. So get in your hashtag Geotrash, and if everybody's ready, we are going to do it. Dave got his in. So there you go. And we're going to spin the wheel. Let me bring up the screen. And we will do our giveaway using our fancy StreamYard giveaway tool. Thank you, StreamYard. One of the things that our patrons help us pay for is our membership and licensing, I guess you could say, of StreamYard. So thank you, patrons. Thank you, all of our new patrons and former and current patrons, but not our new ones, our old. We have old patrons and new patrons, which is wonderful. And we've had some patrons for a long time, and so grateful for them. So, all righty, here we go. I'm pushing the button. Let's see who wins tonight. Everybody ready? Here we go. Oh, there goes all the names. They're spinning. They're spinning. Who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning? Oh, we'll draw again. Go. So let's try. Here we go. Spinning. It's spinning. Who's the winner? Who wins? Brad. Brad Head. You lost rigged. Oh, it's not rigged. It's just that we were on the list as well. So so that happened. So yeah, it's rigged. It didn't know the difference between all that. So obviously we can spin again. So there you go. So Brad, you are the winner. So congrats to you, Brad. I will get with you. Actually, if you would email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com. There's the address, geocachetalk@gmail.com. And we will, I'll get with you and we'll get a prize out to you. And I'll let you know what they are again if you need to. But there you go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being on tonight. And if you do have any comments or suggestions for the deep dive, you can also send us to that email address right there, geocachetalk@gmail.com, and we will take it under advisement. Thank you, Debbie. Thanks, everybody, for your comments tonight. The chat room was very active, and very thankful for everybody for being along tonight. And we will see you hopefully Sunday. Sunday, we're back to the plain old Sunday show, as Charles calls it. And we're going to be doing. I'm going to put the show up on StreamYard, but we're going to be talking about Cache Tour. We're going to have a revisit to Cache Tour and all the great things about it. We're going to go through a scenario of using Cache Tour in conjunction with Project GC, and we're going to go through that and really encourage people to join us and to learn. Again, we've done shows before. It's been a while since we did a show about Cache Tour, cachetur.no. Great folks over at Cache Tour. It's a great product. I love the we'll get into it Sunday, but we'll talk about how you set it up, how you use it, how you can get on your phone, your Android or iPhone, and how you can then use that during the day to do whatever you're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about county run. We're going to use my last Oklahoma county run to talk about the use of the tool. It's a great tool, and we're going to go over it. I can't talk about it enough, and I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, we're going to get back into talking about Cash Tour and really encouraging people to use it. It's a great, great tool. So, all right, we'll see you Sunday. If not Sunday, we'll see you back here next Thursday for another deep dive. So good night, everybody. We'll see you either Sunday or Thursday. Take care.